Distinguished delegates, can we call the meeting to order and go to item 12 on progress made regarding the 4 time-bound commitments on non-communicable diseases in the African region. This is AFR RC 68/9. I'd like to ask Dr. Stephen. Hello, hello, hello. You cannot hear? Hello, 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 hello. The interpreter is speaking. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, testing, hello, can you hear the interpreter now? Hello, 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 hello. Technician, hello, can you hear now? Hello, is it working? Okay, okay, so we'll continue now by looking at item 12, which is on status of implementation of the 4 time-bound commitments on non-communicable diseases in the African region. The document is AFR RC 68/9. Dr. Stephen, Acting Director, Non-Communicable Diseases Cluster. Please introduce this document.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson, DPM, Regional Director, Honorable Ministers, partners, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Secretariat, I have the privilege to introduce document AFR RC 68/9, entitled Status of Implementation of the 4 time-bound commitments on NCDs in the African region. The purpose of the document is to highlight the progress made in implementing the 4 time-bound commitments, identify the challenges, and propose actions to be taken by member states and partners. The African region faces a growing burden of non-communicable diseases, mainly cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, respiratory disease, sickle cell disease, and other conditions. Deaths from non-communicable diseases have been increasing over the years. NCDs take away people in their most productive lives and therefore deprives society of their contribution. NCDs therefore have a devastating impact at family, community, and national levels. The 4 time-bound commitments were adopted at the 2nd high-level meeting on non-communicable diseases, which was held in New York in July 2014, to review progress made since the first high-level meeting in September 2011. The 4 time-bound commitments are, and I am aware that Honorable Minister are very familiar with them, that 1, by 2015, member states committed to setting up national targets on NCDs for 2025 and 2030. Second time-bound commitments, by 2015, member states committed to develop multi-sectoral policies and plans. The third commitment, member states committed that by 2016 they would be implementing plans to reduce risk factors for NCDs. And number 4, by 2016, member states committed to strengthen health systems to address NCDs through people-centered primary health care and universal health coverage. In order to track and monitor progress on implementation of these commitments, WHO conducted surveys in 2015 and 2017 and produced what is called the WHO Global NCD Progress Monitor in 2015 and again in 2017. So the progress made, it was the progress monitor revealed that the progress made in the region had been slow and uneven, but it also varied from country to country. So just to highlight some of the progress, in terms of setting targets, 21 member states had set targets in 2017 compared to 10 in 2015. So there is some progress there. On multi-sectoral policies and plans, 17 member states have operational plans. They are already implementing the plans. But if we include member states that have plans that are still drafts, the number is up to 31. So there is some progress there, but slow. On non-communicable disease guidelines, 13 member states have guidelines. They've developed guidelines and are implementing them. This is compared to 3 member states in 2015. So there is some progress in that regard. On risk factors, we realize that member states still face huge challenges. There is high prevalence of risk factors. This information we have received from step surveys which we conduct in member states. We have high prevalence of risk factors such as high blood pressure. In fact, our region has the highest prevalence of high blood pressure in the world. And as we know, this is the leading risk factor for cardiovascular disease. We also have high prevalence of smoking. And also, we eat less than 5, most people eat less than 5 servings of fruit and vegetables per day. We have a significant proportion of the population that are overweight. And there is also a high prevalence of people who are inactive, physically inactive. So what are some of the challenges? These include inadequate national capacities. As an example, we do find that most member states do have non-communicable disease departments or units or programs. But these are very poorly resourced programs and units, and they don't have a lot of resources. They don't have the capacity to mount a multi-sectoral response. And the second challenge is that the response, the multi-sectoral response is inadequate. NCD prevention and control remains largely health sector driven. We also have alluded to the weak health systems, weak health information systems, inadequate data on NCDs. Inadequate funding for the NCD response, and then finally the interference of the industry, particularly the tobacco and alcohol industry. The proposed actions that are mentioned in the document include the following: strengthening the multi-sectoral response in member states. 2, strengthening health systems, including integrating non-communicable diseases in primary health care, and also strengthening health information systems, mobilizing sustainable resources for the NCD response, mobilizing both domestic and external resources, and accelerating implementation of the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, and also developing policies on food and nutrition, scaling up physical activity in line with the Global Action Plan on Physical Activity. We invite honorable ministers, member states, to comment on the proposed actions that are stated in the paper. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, I would like to mention that on the 27th of September, the high-level meeting, the third high-level meeting on NCDs will be held at the UN General Assembly. This will be an opportunity to renew political commitment to NCD prevention and control. And we do encourage honorable ministers to encourage the heads of state to participate in that high-level meeting. Honorable Chairperson, the regional committee is invited to examine the document and endorse the actions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shongwe. Alors, honorable
distinguished delegates, since we don't have too much time, can I know which countries would like to take the floor so that we can continue tomorrow morning? Burkina Faso, Burundi, Namibia, Niger, Benin, Comoros, Kenya, Nigeria, Mauritius, Angola, Gambia, Côte d'Ivoire, Lesotho, Cape Verde, Zambia, Tanzania. So we have 6 minutes left. There's a side event. Maybe we can give the floor to perhaps 3 countries. Let's see, we'll see. Burundi. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor. Mr. Chairman, Burundi would like to congratulate the Secretariat on this document provided to us. Burundi ratified the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control on 29 November 2005. It entered into force on 20 February 2006. In Burundi, the tobacco industry did not exist. There were only a few farms cultivating tobacco. The only existing industry imported tobacco to transform the raw tobacco into cigarettes. Despite the lack of studies, smoking is a big issue. It's a socio-economic and environmental issue. Unfortunately, we don't have any statistical facts and figures. Burundi prepared the anti-tobacco law, which is the cornerstone for implementing FCTC since 2011. the draft bill was tabled with the Council of Ministers, but we had difficulties in adopting it until 2016. And during that period where the draft bill was not adopted, the Burundian government launched a few anti-tobacco measures by issuing orders and ministerial orders such as the designation of a focal point and dissemination of information on the ill effects of smoking and prohibition of distributing tobacco to children, promotion and sponsorship by the tobacco industry was also controlled. As progress made, we prepared a draft bill on the regulation of the production, marketing and consumption of tobacco and derivatives. There was an adoption of that law, and it was promulgated in which this time we had the anti-tobacco law, which we had difficulty in adopting by the National Assembly, which I mentioned earlier. Now, we also have promotion of education on effects of tobacco, smoking, and passive smoking as well. And Burundi is delighted with this report and is committed to collaborating with the WHO Secretariat towards the implementation of the actions mentioned in this report. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Burundi. Burkina Faso, just wait a minute, because Kenya, I think, requested for the floor before you. Kenya, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson, for this opportunity. The Kenya delegation would like to thank the Secretariat for preparing the status of implementation of the 4 time-bound commitments on non-communicable diseases in the African region. This update is timely as Member States prepare for the upcoming UN General Assembly high-level meeting, where the heads of states and governments will take stock of the progress made in the commitments adopted in the previous 2 high-level meetings. Kenya, like other countries, continues to witness increased number of NCDs in the recent years. To comprehensively address this, we have put in place an NCD Prevention and Control Action Plan 2015-2020, as well as ensure that NCD Prevention and Control is included in the Government Medium-Term Plan 3 for the period 2018-2022. This has resulted in a gradual increase in yearly budgetary allocation to NCD prevention and control activities in the ministry, as well as a gradual increase of partner funding towards NCD initiatives. Mr. Chairman, despite this progress, we are deeply concerned with the reported slow rate at which countries are implementing NCT time-bound commitments within the African region, and subsequently are unlikely to achieve SDG target 3.4 by 2030. As discussed in the side event yesterday evening, integration of prevention and control of NCD initiatives into people-centered primary health care and universal health coverage is paramount to fast-track realization of positive outcomes. We would like to urge all member states to accelerate implementation of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, WHO FCTC, as well as ratification of the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products, as tobacco use has been identified as one of the modifiable risk factors of NCDs. In conclusion, Chairperson, I wish to state that Kenya has taken note of the report and support adoption of the proposed actions in support of accelerated realization of the time-bound NCD commitments within the African region. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Kenya. And
we'll now take Burkina Faso, the last speaker The others will take up tomorrow morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Burkina Faso would like to commend the WHO Afro Secretariat on the quality of this report. These diseases are becoming an increasing burden in our countries and constitute a challenge for all of our countries because of their magnitude and the psychosocial economic consequences. Aware of this issue, Burkina Faso government, as part of the transformation of the Ministry of Health, put in place a department, a special department on this issue. And Madam Siga Kazone, who is also head of an association, went on a crusade on this issue and to involve the first ladies of our region and the financial and technical partners to support the fight against cancer. Although we lack financial resources, Burkina Faso put in place a number of activities as part of the objectives we have mentioned. These include the national survey on the main risk factors, followed by a strategic plan which ended this year, in fact. The preparation of the various strategic plans on cancer, mental health, Vision 2020, fight against blindness, hepatitis, etc., and the preparation of several guides, treatment guides, on diabetes in particular, and the establishment of tobacco treatment center and specialized center for treatment of cancer and readaptation, physical readaptation. Burkina Faso also has put in place essential packages for the main diseases we're talking about, and also subsidies by the states, and putting in place of a pediatric cancer register and second step survey on the risk factors. And Burkina Faso would like to ask WHO and technical and financial partners for further support for the second step survey and implementation of its strategic plan, and would like to call for greater cooperation among countries of the region in terms of sharing best practices, and would like to therefore support the adoption of this report. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Burkina Faso. We will stop here and ask the Secretariat to make an announcement.
I have 3 points to announce. The first is that after the end of this session, there's a side event on digital health expansion in Africa and the Afro-ITU agreement at 6 to 7:30 p.m. The side event will take place in BC12, in room BC12 at 6 o'clock, right after this meeting. The second point is that in preparation of your return to your respective countries, at the end of the RC, kindly make sure to fill in the yellow return trip information form. This is the form. And to return it to the Secretariat. Please make also sure to pass by the Secretariat desk, the travel desk outside in the main entrance, and to check the shuttle schedule so that you make sure that your pickup time was correctly programmed. The third point is on lost and found. A participant has lost his laptop. Whoever finds some items, please return them to the Secretariat. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. La séance.
Thank you very much. Session adjourned. Have a nice evening.